Right. Hello, everyone. We had another week of discussions of the comments that we see in the atheist experience comment section. This week we have John Clark and Neil. Hopefully, Neil does sound like he's awake. So even though it's pretty late in the
Just about awake.
evening,
Hey Neil,
I
how's it
think
going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gook will be joining us later, and I think Jeebus as well. So, but I think we can just get started. For this week, I didn't really have anything prepared, and I know Ook's been trying to goad a few people to show up to this and actually, get the balls to actually talk to us. And just like half an hour ago, I responded to NEPy. Also, challenging him to come and talk to us if he really thinks he has something. And of course, he won't. I'm very sure that he's not going to come on. Looks like Ook is on. So I don't believe we'll have anyone. Ook, did you get anything from Diva, whether he's going to show up or not?
He said it would be boring, but he might show up.
Nice. Yeah.
I think I tried about 9 people last night. I even had to be nice to a couple of them. But we shall see.
Well, it is kind of boring because they don't really have any real arguments. It really is just about, tactics, their argument, trying to make an argument. But, there's really nothing new. They always kind of do the same thing over and over. So that's why for this week, assuming that none of these guys show up, I just went through the most recent comments in the latest video on the XP, and I noticed that NEPy posted a whole bunch of them. And so I wanted to kind of review some of those arguments. Yep, go ahead.
Are we on the live show yet, or are you still in private?
No, yeah, we're on. We're live.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Oh, there it is. Right. Yep. Oh, I'm with it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
Yeah. So I was just going to go through some of the arguments, the common arguments that he's making. And what I told him was that, let me see if I can get this up. I have to share this. So he had made some comment, and about 30 minutes ago, I basically told him that, we're just going to be here in the live stream, ridiculing his stupid strawman arguments, and his strawman arguments are this thing, this whole, sorry pal, but a rock didn't come from a bang, get wet, and produce the human beings, 9 million different animals and 300,000 different plants. So, and we'll go over some of the other ones. What was that?
The poor fungi didn't even get a mention.
Yep.
Sorry, animals, plants, and fungi.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's a very bad joke, and yeah,
they never get mentioned in that list because none of the microscopic, like bacterias and none of those things get mentioned, right? No, he never mentions the different species of prokaryotes, and not to mention the viruses. So even though they're kind of not quite live, but there's some type of organism. Supposedly his God created them, but it doesn't get a mention either. And he doesn't seem to mention any of the. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's almost like he doesn't have a coherent argument and doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yes, it does seem that way. And of course, I did want to give him the benefit of the doubt, for whatever that's worth. And I'm just gonna switch here. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt in my response, and I said I would invite him to come on, but we all know that he wasn't gonna, he doesn't have the balls to show up. So I can
No.
pretty much clearly say that he's not going to show up.
Yeah, no, he is fundamentally a coward.
Yeah, well, part of it is cowardice, and part of it is, I think he knows that he doesn't know this stuff, and he knows that he can't argue it, right?
Yep. No, his fundamental worldview and his own internal image of himself is this big strong boy with a big strong brain, and maybe he has had some experience in the past in talking to other people and other ideologies, and maybe he's been able to bully people intellectually in the past. Maybe, if I'm being super generous with how he got here, but he knows that he's in a completely different league when he's talking to any one of us, and he just can't hang, and he knows it, which is why he'll flail and fail, but when you actually press him, he runs like a coward every single time.
Yeah, so this is like when he was from Parts Unknown, I think it's him, right? So
Yeah.
Quentin D was responding and talking about, kind of trying to explain to him what science can know and what's observed, etc. And I wanted to look at his NEPy's response here, where he says, I've did the research. He means I've done the research, study and experience on these topics for 50 years. So when he says he did the research, we know he doesn't mean scientific research. When he says did the research, he means he went to, the DI site, the Answers in Genesis site, and all those other sites, and read some of their, stupid posts, trying to, make a kind of pseudo-scientific explanation of, to try to deny science. So I think that's what he means by research. I'm pretty sure he never did actual biological research.
So let me actually push back on that assumption for just a moment. Have we seen anything in any of the responses that he's ever given that he has even gone so far as to go to an Answers in Genesis website? Like, do we even know that he's even done that much thought and research into this?
Well, I think so, because the way the comments he makes, the quote unquote arguments he makes, I think are kind of coming from, those, websites. Not that he even understands,
Right.
the wrong science in there. I think he's just regurgitating.
Sure. Just I don't think I've never seen anything more than just a surface level response. And even Answers in Genesis will at least pretend to be scientific and pretend to talk about science, whereas all of his comments are, look stupid, lost, and clueless. I'm, big and bad, and you're dumb, so go away. Like, none of his comments actually talk about the science. It's just a series of claims. So that's why I'm not convinced that that's why I'm not convinced he's even gone that far. I'm not convinced he's done any research at all.
But I mean, that's kind of what I mean by, I don't think he even understood kind of the pseudoscience arguments that's in some of those places.
Okay.
But I don't think he tries to even argue. I think he just takes the claims that are in those sites and then just presents the claims as is, pretending that he understands it.
Sure. I mean, look, whether or not he's done any kind of research at all, that's not a hill I care to die on at all, because his position is still, he's the lost and clueless one, ironically.
Yeah. Well, so the reason why I think he's at least read something like that, and he may have read it a long time ago, but this whole thing about rock didn't come from a bang, get wet, and produce a human being, like this whole getting wet and all that mud puddle thing is, I think, it's coming from one of those sites, talking about, some of the research that's been there on abiogenesis, about how, wet dry cycles that you would see in a mud puddle can, catalyze some of the creation of the biomolecules.
I did, a few years ago, take lots of these texts in and see where they were from. And most of them were from the, Creation Institute. And a few were cobbled together from Answers in Genesis. And I forget, the rest was done like copies of that preacher he thinks is a prophet. I can't remember the name.
That'd be where he's getting his information from. That prophet guy who's getting it from.
Yeah, he gets a lot of that, but I can't remember his
prophet guy.
I'll look in the.
Yeah, there's this pastor he's brought up a few times.
Be right back.
Oh, he's brought up name of a pastor. Oh, I think I vaguely remember. Wait, it's not that. It's not that guy that. The one that predicted that Donald Trump was going to be put back in the office. Is that the one?
I think that's the one. Yeah.
Isn't something
Unless
about
I'm confusing with one of the other posters.
Yeah, I just know that he makes these kind of false prophecies, but I didn't know he says anything science oriented. But before we go, I just want to mention that Tuna Man and Blarg is on as well. Sorry, I don't know when you guys got on, but I just noticed a few minutes ago and put you up on screen. Wait, did someone leave? Oh, John. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I found the name of one of the prophets, Kent Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas. I just I thought I was misremembering. It was something about Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, Kent Christmas.
Yep.
And
he's a very pro-Trump.
Yeah. Oh, he's ridiculously. Prophet Robin Bullock.
Robin what?
B-U. Oh, yeah, I recognise the Christmas guy.
O-C-K.
Wait, B-U-O-O-C-K?
B-U-double-O. B-U-double-L.
Oh, double L. Okay.
Double L. Yeah, sorry. My eyes are still adjusting.
Bullocks. Is he what it? Bullock Robin?
Bullcock. No, Bullock.
Robin Bullock. Oh, yeah. This is another very pro-Trump guy.
Oh, and
God, the 11th hour.
Hank.
I recognise that guy. I've seen him around.
Hank, K-U-N-N-E-M-A-N.
But these guys are not the ones that are giving these kind of pseudoscience background for NEPy.
Yeah, so he's following a whole,
false prophets, bunch of false prophets.
Hank Cullinan has a YouTube video, which he was pushing a while ago. Yeah, he's yes. So I knew he was following some really way out. I think he even mentioned that stupid being to wave the stick at the hurricane. Told it to go away. But yes, so he gets his stuff from ultra right-wing fascist
Yeah, and he's
creatures.
definitely not getting actual science from those places, you know. So when he says he's done the research study and all and experience on these topics for quote unquote 50 years, he doesn't have anything. Nothing he's ever written has ever like expressed to me that he knows anything about any science.
No,
Sounds
well, as
like
we
he's
know,
just repeated the same thing.
he's a chiropractor.
Yeah.
That's the sum total of his science background, his quackery. As for the rest of it, like he's been pushing the same bullshit half-ass version of entropy for the entire time he's been posting, and every single one of them is essentially it's majorly problematic because it's bloody obvious that that definition can't be right. Which is why I keep asking him about the carbon getting into a log.
Can
because
I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Q, if I send you an email with some of the text that NEPy has written about things that he believes true, are you able to post it on the screen?
Yeah. Are you just talking about screenshots? You're going to send me screenshots?
No, just text.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and send it to me. I can share it on here.
Yeah. Sorry, Vlad. Off you go.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, so one way of demonstrating that, basically his argument about entropy is that entropy cannot go backwards ever in any circumstance whatsoever. It always increases in every single place. And you just go, well, that's obviously untrue when you just consider, for example, you've got carbon in a log, you burn the log, it goes into the atmosphere. And then somehow you also can get the carbon out of the atmosphere and make new logs. So even if you don't know which one of those is positive entropy and which one is negative entropy, they're opposite processes. So one of them has to be entropy going in reverse. So
life is not possible if everything you can only go
life is not
in
possible.
one direction in entropy.
If entropy didn't exist, you couldn't stand up. Friction requires entropy.
When everything on the biology side, I mean, that's like on like at the fundamental physics level, but even on the biological side, cellular process will just stop. If you can't use energy to reverse the entropy, that's that happens if nothing goes on a cell. If nothing happens in the cell is dead. It can't reproduce, it can't replicate, it can't form the different the necessary ion gradients. None of the ion pumps would work. Nothing. Actually, protein itself would not work.
No, none of that.
So nothing would work.
Yeah, smelting of ore, that couldn't work. So once iron became rusted, it could never be smelted back into iron. Alumina could never become aluminium, or however you guys pronounce it. The air conditioning couldn't work. Internal combustion engines couldn't work. So all of these things couldn't work based on his definition. And you go, but rather than modify his definition, he just sticks to it and goes, no, it's true, I'm 100% correct. And you go, no, you're a lying troll.
Yeah, I mean, even if you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, and he's, what he means is it's a whole system, right? The entire system, the universe being a system, that overall at a system level, it can only, entropy can only increase.
And
that's only true if we know it's a closed system, right?
Yeah.
And when you posit a God, at least the kind of God that these guys are talking about, you no longer have a closed system.
Also, we have pretty good reason to suspect it's not a closed system. The fact that dark energy appears to be a constant energy density throughout space, and as space expands, dark energy needs to be created new. So that means there is new energy coming into the universe continuously. So that's not very closed. So certainly the traditional view of entropy doesn't play nicely with dark energy.
Yeah, so he doesn't understand any of this, but he talks about
Doesn't want to.
Go ahead.
Well, he did say engines don't get hot, so
Yeah, that's true. That list of what he believes true, I sent it to your queue. So
Okay. I think he has kind of weird sort of backwards understanding of things. He kind of, I think when he says engines don't get hot, I think he's saying that the energy that goes in is what's making the engine hot, but the engine itself isn't getting hot. I think it's some weird kind of backwards understanding of things.
I
yeah.
think you're giving him too much credit, to be
Oh,
frank.
yeah.
I don't think he bothers thinking about that at all. He just declares crap based upon how he feels about how it should be the answer if science is wrong and his God is right. So that's I think way too much credit.
I think it's not necessarily giving him credit. I'm just trying to understand how he could possibly come up with some of the things that he says.
Yeah, but you're implying that he thinks about these things.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
that's where I think where the problem lies.
Have a scroll through this. This gives you a real good insight into what he thinks. It's
So
just
common stuff, right? God is more real than anything. Jesus is the only way to heaven. January 6th was not an insurrection, of course. George Floyd OD'd. Climate change is a hoax. Evolution is a hoax. So when he says hoax, he's like on the climate change, he's thinking that there's this conspiracy of all scientists who are trying to, make climate change a thing. And when they publish research on it, it's all just part of an elaborate hoax, I guess. I guess that's what he's saying. And evolution being a hoax is even at a higher level. Like you would have to have so many people, like fundamental biologists, as well as all the educators, as well as students that study biology at any higher education level. They all have to be be part of this hoax.
Oh yeah, it would take hundreds of millions of people to be on the hoax.
Yeah, it'll be basically everyone all set up.
Oh, sounds like we've got a sound problem.
I think that was Tuna Man.
that wasn't me.
He muted.
Did you mean to say something, Tuna Man? Nope.
Might have disconnected.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Am I loud enough? I got a new sound system.
Yeah, come in.
Yeah, but I
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to comment. Even if everybody was all in on the hoax, you can't change the science. There is a scientific evidence for evolution.
But being faked by the fake scientist. See, that's how it works. That's how you can fake the evidence if you've got 100 million people in the hoax. Apparently, what a maroon.
You know that these anti-evolutionists, biogenesis, all these folks, they could go and get the evidence, right? If it's a hoax, they should be able to get the evidence that counters the published science, right? So they can, and I think that's what Tuna Man is trying to get at. There would be some fundamental facts that would, support their position if they were actually inclined to try to get data on this.
Yeah, they're not really because the fact of the matter is there are so many lines of evidence that feed into evolution being correct and true. Everything from basic physics and thermodynamics to geology and DNA, just even the chemistry of life, the chirality of molecules. There's so many lines of evidence that just prove that it cannot be a hoax, that the best they can do is to kind of sling some mud, go, Piltdown Man, or, entropy says that these things can't happen. Magic. DNA is a code. It's a digital code. These various half-baked bits, and the problem with those is it's really easy to make it's this issue that you've got between misinformation and correcting misinformation. It's really easy to make a misinformed statement. It takes a lot more work to correct the misinformation. So it always puts us on the back foot with truth, because lies are easier to spin.
Yeah, the thing with evolution for me is like at the fundamental level, from a conceptual level, it has to be true in the sense that if you have a system where you are reproducing or inheriting traits, from parents to their offspring, when that happens, you inevitably have evolution. It's the exact mechanism, can be debatable, but just the fact that you have offsprings that inherit some traits, from you, that is fundamentally what evolution is, at least at a population level.
Yeah, but they go along and redefine that to say, oh no, that's not evolution, that's adaptation, or it's microevolution. It's not new species forming. It's not, as NEPy always puts it, show me new anatomy. But what does new anatomy mean? Does he mean a growing 6 limbs rather than 4? And you go, well, those are things that take tens or hundreds of millions of years to occur. Those aren't things that happen quickly. So he keeps demanding,
he doesn't
and
even
he knows
count
damn well. But he knows damn well what he's asking for, a thing, because he keeps saying, so show me new anatomy in the last 10,000 years. Anatomy takes long. The thing he's asking for takes longer than 10,000 years to occur.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you do show him something that's taken less time than that, like say the multicellularity of bacteria that we've engineered in the lab several times this past decade, that's like, oh, that's not new anatomy, that's
That's adaptation again.
Yeah, and fossils get excluded because they're not real-time evidence. So again, he puts a set of rules around that don't make any sense. It's basically he's asking for, if we followed his line of his rules of evidence, nobody who's a murderer could ever get convicted of murder. Well, almost nobody, because you couldn't use the fact that they're covered in the person's blood with the knife in their hand, having written a note that says, I'm going to kill you by stabbing you in the face with a knife. And then, saying I did it, that wouldn't be sufficient. You'd have to have, observed them killing the other person in real time. So apparently, unless you have that type of evidence, then you can't work out that something occurred. You can't look at a set of footprints in the sand and say, oh, somebody's walked along the sand since the last high tide. No, you have to have watched the person walk on the sand.
And of course, as soon as you ask him, well, show the real-time evidence of creationism, then somehow that's not relevant. It doesn't count.
Yeah, no, he just usually ignores those requests. Show me the real-time evidence of a resurrection. Where's your video of the resurrection? Well, that's as likely a you know, that's exactly the same type of evidence as he's asking for with the 10,000 year new anatomy.
Yeah, and for him, even if you show, let's say, an organism that goes from 2 arms to 4 arms to 8 arms, let's say even within 10,000 years, to him, and let's say even like within 1 generation, you know, he still wouldn't count that as evolution, because what he would say is, well, there's already genes that exist for arms, right? So having 8 arms somehow isn't evolution for him.
Yeah, no, that's it. He just keeps moving the goalpost. He's not interested in truth. He's only interested in pushing his bullshit. There was a comment, a really long one, actually. I don't know whether you saw it, from J Mike responding to his something that he wrote. And yeah, I let J Mike know that yeah, you're dealing with a 60+ account troll who
Yes,
yeah, he's not listening. Yeah, you'd have a better chance
that was
of.
in 2 weeks ago.
No, just like in the last few days. Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, do you
Oh,
know
wow.
which video it was under? Is it under the same video as from Forrest, and is it from this video? I guess I should ask.
Hang on,
Biblical
give me just a
Prophecies, or
second.
the previous one?
Hey, Mike, it's in the one with "Made by Jesus" as the thumbnail.
Made by Jesus. Okay. Yeah, I
And the
haven't
thread-
seen it.
Yeah, so it was 6 days ago was when Borthwin Renge Blaststone did his 9 million different animals and 300,000 different plants repeated comment. And then, yeah, J Mike added, yeah, about a page-long reply 13 hours ago.
Oh, the fine tuning. So that was a video from
Made by Jesus.
about a week ago.
Yeah, 6 days ago is when he.
Which thread was it on? Was he
just looking
responding
now.
to NEPy?
Yeah, he was. I'm just looking it up now.
Yeah, I'm on that video. If you know like any of the words in the original thread.
Yeah, I was just reading it.
Oh, what was it?
Yeah.
How did it start?
It's the where to be stupid and believe a rock came from a bang, got wet, and produced the human being, 9 million different animals and 300,000 different plants. How you become so lost and clueless?
No, but what was the original comment? The first comment in the thread?
That is the original comment in the thread.
Okay, it must have been further back because I couldn't find it. Oh, it must be some here.
Yeah, and Smoochie's replies with boring at the top of it.
Oh. Oops. Oh, okay, there it is. This one, right?
There we go.
Yeah, so NEPy says we're to be stupid and believe a rock. So it's the same argument, right? Rock came from a bang, got wet. Yeah, nothing that any scientist would ever say, but he pretends that science says this, and he's pretending that science is telling them this is true, despite us repeatedly telling him, yeah, you're right, a rock did not come from a bang and get wet and produce a human being. Agreed. So what? So looks, so J Mike somewhere down here responds to it. Okay, so this one.
Yeah, he put a lot of work into a reply to him, and I had to point out, you go, you're better off arguing with the belligerent fence post. You'll get more honesty.
Yeah. But fundamentally, it is this whole kind of personal incredulity. That's what NEPy's argument is.
Yeah, if it weren't for strawman, NEPy wouldn't have any men at all.
Yeah, he doesn't even bother really with strawman anymore. He just uses grass clippings and calls that that's your argument. I set fire to some grass clippings. Hooray, I win.
Yeah.
I do feel like he doesn't even actually try to defend this, because he keeps on repeating the same thing no matter what anyone says. You know, people repeatedly say that this is strawman, but he never really argues against that.
The nurses must have given him some Viagra this morning, because he's really filling up the biblically the latest video with Jim and Forrest. He's really filling up that with his normal spam.
Yeah, he was quiet for a while, and then he kind of comes back and puts kind of multiple comments, starts multiple comments. But yeah, there's nothing new though that he's showing here. The other thing he talks about is on abiogenesis, that you have to first prove abiogenesis. And this whole thing, there isn't any married bachelor, as if, there's any kind of synthetic meaning in abiogenesis that is fundamentally, paradoxical. That's because that's what a married bachelor is a paradox.
But I mean, we are talking to a man who believes that hell is in the center of the earth, and the volcanoes happen because God needs more room to fill up hell. So, I mean,
Yeah, I was going to remind you about that one, Ook, because we didn't see that in your list. And thinking,
that
gonna
was the
definitely
thing.
be in your list there somewhere.
I didn't
further.
see
That was
that
his
in
list.
this list.
He wrote it himself.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That's from Twitter. That's from
wow.
his Twitter.
No, I was talking about your list of stupid things he believes. So I thought that's got to be in your list of stupid things he believes, because that's a doozy and you use it regularly.
Wait.
Yeah.
You're talking about this list from the email that he sent me?
Yeah, well,
What do
that's
you
what I
mean
was
a different
assuming
list?
it should be in there. And if you've
No,
missed
no,
it,
no.
Ook,
That's a
Terrible.
That's things that NEPy himself has said, literally. I think that might be his list.
That's his whole list that he put down on Twitter. So
yeah, he says all truths off the top of my head. So feel
Ah.
free to add to the list. So you can, Flarg, you could add to the list and go, remember you said this other thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember he predicted that Trump was going to get into the
Well,
White House in 2020.
He's in, so he doesn't say that now. He just says Donald Trump won 2020, which is kind of interesting because Donald Trump himself is now saying that he did not win in 2020.
Oh, I just found what he got right. The establishment GOP is done. They are all
That I
mad
do
now,
agree
pretty
with.
much.
That I agree with.
No, yeah, that is true, because
That's the only one I can see.
Yeah, essentially Trumpism basically, killed the establishment GOP.
Now, if you want to email me or post that list of his claims, I'll be more than happy to start posting his failed claims, just like I do with Jim Edith.
Yeah,
Every time that they claim that they've always proven any of their claims, and that they've never lied. I'll start posting this to NEPy as well.
Did that recipe go through?
Yes.
Good. Okay, that's all right. At least I got the mail right. Yeah, I'll post it off to you.
Yeah, please and thank you. Because again, anything I can do to tweak these guys off.
I mean, that evidence is on my channel, or is in my channel. He's back and running amok, but you only have to listen to one of his videos, and it's just this. I mean, he could give that guy from Mud Fossil University a run for his money.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well,
I just remembered Mud Fossil
for
guy.
whatever reason, Roger at Mud Fossil University he has such a special place in my heart. he really just strikes me as someone's grandfather who's just been left with way too much time, and the family has stopped visiting.
And has either his doctor just keeps prescribing him drugs that he doesn't need, like Valium, temazepam, and several other mind altering.
I don't know. For whatever reason, I just find him so adorable.
Oh, I loved it. I admit to going on to little binges on his site, and that's my guilty little pleasure.
Yeah. Do you ever?
I literally thought he was a parody. I thought he was taking the piss out of all this creationist stuff, and then someone did a video, and I was like, "Wait, he's real?
Yeah, no,
he's not some actor.
He means it." If you ever watch the channel Sir Sick,
yeah, that's where I came across him afterwards, and I went, "Oh, he's a real idiot." Okay.
Yeah, no, he means it. He is genuine. And somehow
I love the disclaimer on the front of the Sir Sick videos. They are just gorgeous.
Oh, Sir Sick is amazing. He's
he is one of my guilty pleasures. I do enjoy intellectual dialogue. I love a good solid debate. I love watching Sir Sick just dunk on people.
If anyone wants a good laugh as well, I have, the 7-day week, Mr. Delicious from Canada.
I don't know that one.
It's 7 because the world uses a 7-day week, therefore God. That proves God.
Oh my God! Yeah, okay.
You've heard that, right?
I got his channel name. I'll post it.
I love.
By the way, this is he changed the profile photo, I think, because I think when we kind of showed his account before, but now he's Dr. L Powers, but the handle's the same, Jacuzzi 37.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. He says he's in Georgia.
He isn't.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to throw people off.
Yes, and the L's not right either, as we know.
Unless the L stands for liar.
It could be. Or it could be his dad's name. We haven't looked that up. Because that may be a picture of his dad. Because remember, he does live with his dad.
Yeah, I think he might be like maybe his brother, because this looks a little bit younger. Too young to be his dad. I think his dad is like in the 90s.
Yeah, maybe.
So
actually, one of the reasons I was possibly not going to make it today is because of a funeral I went to last night. And we had a lady who was there. She's 99, and she'd been living at home by herself until last year when she broke her hip. And she's like, "Oh, is a broken hip sufficient grounds for elective dying?" And the doctor's like, "No." She goes, "Oh, in that case, well, maybe I'll have the surgery and maybe I'll die on the table." But no, that didn't work out for her either. She sailed through it without any trouble whatsoever and recovered beautifully, and gets around like a woman 20 years her junior. It's really upsets her that she's doing so well when she's really had enough. It's kind of funny, actually.
Like,
so I got a little
how dare I be doing well?
Yeah, she didn't want that. Yeah, she's going, "Oh, that could be grounds. Maybe I can do that." And the doctor's like, No, that isn't grounds. I'm not signing off on that.
Not how that works, Ethel. Sorry.
Hilarious.
I watched a Roy and HG Club Buggery. They interviewed the Australian guy, politician here, and who pushed through all the death with dignity laws. I've forgotten his name. He started off as a physicist and decided to become a doctor.
Nietzsche or something like that.
Nietzsche or something like that, I recall. But very interesting interview. Insightful as well. But that is the 7-Day Week Proves God channel. I just posted that your way tested by fire, whatever it is. But yeah, that's a fun
I
one.
think it's like Yahweh or the highway. I think that's what he's trying to say.
I don't do phonetics very well, or at all, actually.
Yeah, I think his name is like Stanley something, and I don't know if he's still active, but you know, he's been trying to go on all these like different channels, and I think he's been on a few of the debate channels, like the modern day debate stuff, maybe, where he debates the 7-day thing.
So I would ask him, okay, so do you want to have this debate on the sun's day, the moon's day, Thor's day, Freya's day, Saturn's day?
Yeah, I mean, he has like responses to those. You know, he's basically saying it doesn't really matter what the name of the days that we call it. The whole point is that, you know, the Bible predicted that there would be a 7-day week that everyone would use. And he even has responses for people who kind of point out that there were 7-day weeks prior to, you know, the Jewish calendar, which borrowed from, you know, like the Babylonian calendar.
Babylon's, yeah.
Yeah. But I think what he tries to say is that within those days, it's not like a consistent 7-day, because I think in those calendars, they put in like a filler day every, you know, here and there to just try to kind of sync up the calendar to, you know, their kind of set of months.
Wait, what?
There's like other days besides the 7 days, like, you know, like an extra day or two that they insert to kind of, you know, sync up the 7-day weeks into the months, you know, because just like in our calendar,
like the Shire
you know,
calendar.
we don't. What was that?
Like the Shire calendar for the Hobbits.
Oh yeah,
They have a 7-day week. Then you know, all the extra days they have at the end of the year as Yule days, and
Yeah.
every so often an extra one gets added in mid-year.
So I mean, he does have like responses to those. I mean, I've actually, you know, interacted with him on Clubhouse, where, you know, I've debated this and brought up some of these, and his biggest problem is that, you know, he can't really discuss in a civilized way. You know, he just gets into, oh, I can't believe you believe that. Oh, you know, it's like he makes it seem like he is 100% right, and all other kind of questions or objections are just wrong. So it's just kind of insulting to him that anyone even questions it.
Well,
NEPy's
sure. I mean,
still going up on the latest video. So if anyone that he still talks to or responds to wants to see if he will come over, give it a go.
Yeah, but I mean, I think everyone's given up trying to talk to him.
Yeah, because as I said, you are basically better off talking to a belligerent fence post. You'll get more honesty and more intelligent conversation.
and if nothing else, you'll get some good practice picketing.
Oh.
Sorry.
The insert meme of all the Star Trek people face palming.
The only thing better than a good dad joke is a terrible dad joke. My personal favorite. Yeah, my personal favorite. When does a joke become a dad joke?
When it has kids?
Nope. When it becomes apparent.
Oh, when it becomes sperm. Something like that.
That's pretty bad.
That's terrible. I have no regrets.
One of my favorites is a story about a fish. He's swimming upstream. He's swimming. He bangs his head into a big heap of concrete. He says, "Damn."
That's good. I like that one. And of course, you do realize that 100% of the people that confuse correlation with causation die.
That's pretty bad too.
Oh, I had to hold my mouth closed for that one.
My brother used to have one that he quite enjoyed. Was how do you catch a polar bear? You dig a hole in the ice, sprinkle peas around the hole, and when he comes to sniff at the peas, you kick him in the ice hole.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna remember that one. And of course, people who don't know the difference between entomology and etymology bug me in ways I cannot put into words.
Lovely, gorgeous. We have sidetracked the conversation a little bit.
Sorry.
I suppose.
Yes.
I was trying to find his channel, Stanley's channel, but I can't seem to find it. Before it used to come up, but I wonder if his channel is still even active.
Who is it? Stanley? Is that the 7-day week guy?
Yeah, the 7-day week guy.
I posted it in comments.
Oh, you posted the link to his channel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's what
Diddle it.
Yahweh or Yahweh or Yahweh.
Yeah.
Okay, tested by fire. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's him.
So he's still active, I guess. Let me see. Put him on. Tested by fire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not a ministry, or it doesn't mean I'm not a minister, but I have been blessed. The Sabbath Challenge, the Godhead Trinity. Okay, interesting.
He might even have a video of you, Q. If you talk to him on Clubhouse.
Oh, he doesn't put everything up. Because he basically like had an open channel almost. And, you know, like anyone would just like come on, and if he's on, he'll talk, or, you know, so I doubt he would have it. But yeah, it looks like the most recent video is like a year ago. So he's not very active anymore. And he hasn't been calling into these shows. On most of them, I'm sure he's banned, but. But yeah, it's kind of infuriating when you talk to him, just the way he argues.
I'm trying. No, that's about it. They're just no real new trolls that I've noticed, just old ones coming back and running there.
Well, don't you think there were some new ones that were kind of taking over from the old guard?
There were a couple that had potential.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Steve. He's relatively new.
Yes, he is, actually.
Steve is speed racing into insanity, I think.
He's
spiraling.
He's up there with Chris at the moment. Oh, the guy who claims to Timmy, the Islam, the Muslim, whose father was
down the well.
Yeah, he's a real strange one. I think he's a Poe. I don't know.
I know he does
So,
seem
someone
pretty
else
keen
said
on,
that, and
pushing it.
Yeah,
he's
There's a,
ignorant enough to be a convert, if that makes sense. He barely knows anything about actual Islam.
yeah, that's the thing that gets me. He doesn't really use the Quran. He just states things. Like, what was the last one he did? But when you're in hell, you will be 60 foot tall. That way you'll burn for longer.
But why
Why not?
60 feet? Why not 70 feet?
Yeah, that's
why not 7 million feet tall?
Right.
If we want to
Right.
keep
Yeah,
pushing
like,
this, 7 infinities.
Well, 7 million is
tall.
a bit ridiculous.
yeah,
And,
that's true. That's just absurd. Now, come on, if you're not going to take this seriously,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Okay,
mean,
50 knots.
if he's coming out with stuff like that, it's sort of, no, that's it. But I don't know.
Have you guys?
He also
any of you?
keeps he also keeps pushing this this bullshit about
Opiate.
in Islam you don't have drugs. So
Oh, yeah.
and look at all
Yeah.
these people who died of drugs, and you go, well, the Indonesia has a male smoking rate of 75%, making it the highest smoking rate of any country on the planet amongst males. Women aren't really allowed to smoke in the sort of more fundamentalist nations. They're required to do other things like consume betel nut or something like that. But
Well, even in the US, that was kind of like a big thing, right? Women smoking was kind of a liberation. That whole Virginia Slim, you've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. No,
So it is like a
was,
sign of freedom that women can smoke.
or at least acknowledging that women smoke. I mean, women have always smoked, but at the same time, they just weren't advertised to.
Yeah. So for that guy, despite me, giving him all these research on how, mental or drug abuse, or let's say substance abuse in Islam is actually more pernicious, because this whole kind of like, shame thing where you can't get help if you are suffering from substance abuse, or it's harder for you to get help because of the religion. So it has a negative detrimental effect, on people.
yeah, but the point I was making about smoking is smoking killed approximately 100 million people in the 20th century alone. In America, it kills more
you had
people
to do that, but just
than
as I lit a smoke, didn't you?
yeah, than every single other source of drugs. That add all of the other drug deaths together, then add all the car accidents and all the shootings, and you still haven't got up to how many people die from cigarette smoking. And US doesn't have nearly the smoking level that Indonesia has. So, don't go on about ketamine while you've got Muslims being allowed to smoke cigarettes. It's ridiculous.
Was on fentanyl patches, slow release patches, for over 10 years. And my pain lessened, so I can come off them. I had the worst 3 weeks of my life. Chills, vomiting, horrible. But I just thought it like the worst flu I'd ever had. And my GP said, well, that proves to me that you don't have an addictive personality. You just suffered the physical effects of withdrawal, not the mental. And I did to be addicted to something and to be mentally addicted to something is scary for me, especially because I still smoke. And I gave up fentanyl, which is supposed to be like trying to, go cold turkey on heroin. And it was fairly easy because I didn't want it. My mind didn't want the drug.
You were in a bad way physically.
Yeah, I was pretty shit. But yeah, so I can sort of understand addiction, but
the really low dose thing there may be part of the outcome, though, Ook, because the dose was never high enough to get the dopamine sort of release that you're after. So there's those two mechanisms of addiction.
I was on 20 mil micro.
Yeah,
but
that's
pretty
it. They're
high.
really low. But you're saying it's a really low, slow release, so it doesn't come with the big dopamine hit that people who are taking tablets get. So whereas the what you are suffering from is the opioid receptors suddenly not having anything to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So the other mechanism.
I'm lucky with the GP I go to. He's a pain specialist. So just looking in my drawer here, I've got oxycodone, Panadine Port, diazepam, a few others. So yes, I'm pretty stocked up there. Oh, funny story. Had the house broken into 17 odd years ago, and they stole my watch, my wallet, and I just had all my prescriptions filled. So I had Valium, Endone, oxycodone, all there. 24 hours later, the cops turn up, give me wallet and my watch back and say, yeah, we found it on the guy. He's dead. He's OD'd.
Oh, no.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it was, and I went, oh, that's horrible. And they went, no, it's not. Good riddance. But yeah. So I mean, if my GP gives me enough drugs that you can kill someone or several people. But fun and games.
But of course, the other stupid thing about the argument is that, he points out people who have had substance abuse and somehow links it to atheism.
Was he, did he, who linked the latest school shooting to?
Oh, no, really?
Atheists.
Algebra.
Einstein man.
R.B. Wynn?
Yes, he did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give me a sec. I'll find it.
Yeah, that guy is like he's still on about that whole Galileo thing, and he basically doesn't care what actual facts are. I mean, it'll be interesting to have him on and just like have him attempt to even prove or demonstrate that he knows what he's talking about.
I have a hard time being convinced. I have a hard time believing that he's for real. I wonder if he's just trying to stir the pot.
Yeah, I get that a little bit because, you would think that every time we mentioned that he considers himself to be smarter than Einstein, and also every Nobel Prize winner.
Sure.
And he kind of doesn't really say anything against it. It does seem like he's not really serious.
Like, come on, dude. Yeah, he said, I've read the Bible several times. Ask me anything. He's like, all right, cool. What's your evidence that your God exists? Jesus. Okay.
I mean, like this, right? This just seems like he's joking, right? Biblical prophecies prove Jesus Christ. That is why the Old Testament is called a testament. Really?
Yeah. Like, all right, dude.
He's just like making things up.
Yeah. Right, that's cool. And
Yeah, the thing is, I'm yet to see a prophecy that actually is a prophecy that meets all the reasonable requirements for it to be a prophecy.
Yeah.
And even if you could get one that meets all of those requirements, doesn't get you to a god. It just gets you to that was pretty damn amazing. But they can't even get that. They can't even get to that.
It's like the phrase "true prophecy" is like an oxymoron.
I found his post about the school shooting. I put it in chat.
Okay. But yeah, basically, when you have the New Testament that takes the whatever quote unquote prophecies were in the Old Testament and write the stories to fulfill what's in there, that's not really a testament. It's a fiction that tries to fulfill what the testaments are.
Yeah, you're doing fan fiction off of fantasy now.
It's up there.
Oh my!
Wait, what is it?
It's even you, Curie, would do better. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, when was that?
I
don't see that in my notifications.
I would have done.
Oh, wait. Oh, he's responding to you, but saying that I would do better if I could do junior algebra.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's the other kind of weird thing. He's like, he's smarter than Einstein and all other physicists because he knows junior algebra, as if, as if all those other people don't know junior algebra. I don't get it.
I keep reminding people that he's the Mormon that's smarter than Einstein, but hasn't published any of his findings, and not even the Watchtower. He's a strange one. But I'm actually quite surprised NEPy hasn't jumped on that latest school shooting, because they're like candy to him. He loves it.
By the way, I think he was listening to what we were saying. So, because just within about 20 minutes ago, or maybe 30 minutes ago, he starts talking about the second law of thermodynamics. I think it was around the time when Blarg was talking about how dumb he is for not understanding entropy. So this is his response to that. Instead of coming on and actually talking to us, he'll just I don't know how long he spent to write this. I'm sure a lot of it is just
that's one of his copy pastes.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Nothing escapes it. That's not the point. No system stops you from dying or fruit. Entropy isn't things dying or fruit oxidizing.
He is, he's one of the special creatures.
Yeah, but also things like no gain of complexity. You just go, okay, well, has everyone seen the video from, is it Creationists Labs, which is one of the, like MIT or one of the big unis in America, have a video. It's a time lapse of bacteria evolving antibiotic resistance. It's just amazing to watch, and you can see it as they because they've got these graduated.
Where they're going up a strip that's been coated in stripes of.
Yeah, so it's a giant petri dish that has strips of agar that have different concentrations of the antibiotic in it, and you see them expand across the plate until it hits the boundary of the antibiotic, and then kind of pause for a bit. And next thing you'll get a break point. There'll be a spot where the bacteria breaks through, and then it begins to cascade faster and faster through the rest of the layers as it goes up from 0 concentration to like 1,000 times what would kill it.
Yeah.
Normally, but it gets faster and faster because once it's got some antibiotic resistance, it's easy to gain lots of antibiotic resistance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you just go, okay, well, where's the how did it pull that trick off? You know, it didn't have the ability to resist this antibiotic. You could see that by the fact it crams up against it, and then it just doesn't pass through the boundary until it breaks through at a single point, which is exactly what you'd expect to see from evolution. That one organism develops the capability and breaks through. Interestingly, there's some discussion about that, saying that organism isn't necessarily the best evolved. It doesn't necessarily have the most robust version of that resistance. One of the ones coming through later might have evolved a better variety of resistance that will be better in the long run, but the other one got a head start and kind of swamps its competition. So it blocks out the better quality mutations which occur later. But yeah, you're just going, well, clearly that's new information, new complexity that didn't exist before. And similarly, you get the same result in the long-term evolution experiment by Lenski, where they've got E. coli living in little jars with a mixture of glucose and citrate. And one of the defining characteristics of E. coli is that it cannot digest citrate in an oxygen environment, in an aerobic environment. And then all of a sudden one day it could digest citrate. Yes, they went back and tracked the evolution of this, and yeah, it added complexity. So it took a copy of the anaerobic citrate gene, got copied into a new part of the genome, but it copied over and snipped in pieces of the surrounding that created entirely new precursor and activation components to the citrate gene that made it possible to work under these circumstances. So it's completely new functionality and an entirely new gene. But apparently that's not new complexity either.
Yeah, these guys, they go through these like mental gymnastics. It's just, this where NEPy says that there's no such thing as gain of complexity or gain of new information. From his point of view, that's not a gain of complexity or gain of new information. And the way or guys like him justify it is that the citrate, the citrate the enzyme for metabolizing citrate was always there, the gene itself. So the fact that it got moved under a different promoter is not quote unquote new information for these guys. Despite it being like ultimately you get a new function. It doesn't matter how you got it, but you got a new function that was heritable. So offsprings of that particular E. coli are going to have that function, and it's going to keep spreading that functionality. And because that functionality gives you an advantage in that situation, that trait gets more distributed into the population, which is exactly what the definition of evolution is.
It is, yeah. It's.
He also likes to point out that that E. coli lost genes along the way. It became less complex. It had loss of functionality, and you go, yes, that's exactly what you'd expect in evolution, because there's no so its environment was extremely stable as far as bacteria goes. There were no bacteria for it to compete with, so it had no use. So there were no other species of bacteria to compete with, so it had no use for any genes which might have given it an advantage over a different type of bacteria in its environment. So there's no point having those genes. So there's no evolutionary pressure to maintain those genes. Of course, they disappear over time because it's not trying to live in a complex part of the real world. So yeah, that doesn't prove anything other than it's operating in an environment which is quite unlike the one it would normally live in the real world.
Yeah, in an environment where they don't have to metabolize citrate, that having that gene is actually not a benefit. It's
No, that's
slightly
exactly right.
disadvantageous.
Yeah, every protein an organism has to make that doesn't give it an advantage costs it something. So there is an advantage to not make proteins that don't help.
So basically, evolution explains all these, and creationism doesn't. How does creationism explain how, the whole mechanism of the citrate gene getting copied and putting under different, going under a different promoter? What was God just like decided, hey, here's what I need to do in order to make these bacteria be able to live in a citrate, media. That would be what creationism's explanation would be.
Yeah, it's God micromanaging reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just the citrate gene; it's the promoter. The promoter is entirely new because it's a snippet of this piece of something jammed onto into a place that it didn't have. So that's entirely new. This random snippet, and that still wasn't enough. So there had to be a couple of single nucleotide polymorphisms before it actually became functional. So it had to have not only these pieces just get jammed together, this weird chimera of DNA, but then it had to be modified a few more times. And then all of a sudden it was sort of slightly functional, which was then, was enough to give it impetus to evolve, because that was even slightly functional is better than nothing.
Did you?
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't just like one mutation. It was a couple of different mutations that had to work together.
And that one's also interesting because remember the definition from Behe about irreducible complexity is something that has needed multiple things to occur before it gained a benefit. In this case, multiple things occurred before it gained a benefit.
Yep.
And it still got there, and we can track all of them, and none of them are complicated or surprising. There was a copy error, and that resulted in this piece of gene being wedged into a place it didn't live before. And then there was a mutation, and then there was another mutation, and then all of a sudden it was useful. Yeah, as long as they happen relatively quickly and don't cost a lot, you can accumulate multiple changes. That's not a problem.
Yeah, the part of the issue is that these guys are very naive in their understanding of genetics. So all they can think of it is just, the encoding portion of the DNA, just the portion that creates the protein. That's all they can think of. They can't think of all the kind of the developmental pathways, or the kind of all the different ways to regulate genes and downregulate, upregulate, all that. They can't think of any of those things. All they can think of it is gene encodes protein, and that's it. And that's why they can't grasp anything complex.
Pardon me. Blog. I've been keeping an eye on the cane toad development and their mutations. I think it was either James Cook. James Cook Uni found that their eggs are able to withstand higher concentrations of salt. The ones that have moved from Queensland up around the top and are moving into and have taken over the Northern Territory, their eggs can handle more saline than the ones that are still on the coast, where you live, or the whole Queensland coast. So it's not only are their legs getting longer, but their eggs are adapting
Interestingly,
It'll be really...
speaking of cane toads, we were talking about that at home here this morning, about how there's the other end of the scale. So the organisms that live with cane toads are changing as a result of cane toads. So some of the snakes have evolved smaller heads, so they are less inclined to want to eat cane toads.
Yes, and the
and I think red belly black have become more tolerant of the toxin than they used to be.
Yeah, their heads, the red belly black head hasn't shrunk, but because they mainly eat other snakes, and in Australia that means venomous, they're building up a higher resistance to the cane toad toxicity. It's yeah, I mean that is the only animal that I believe should be wiped off the face of the earth, off the face of Australia completely. They horrible things, but yeah, their eggs are becoming more, and the researchers postulated that maybe in another 20 years they might actually not need water, which is be interesting to see what happens if we're still alive, because you can imagine if their eggs don't need water, they're going to colonize the entire Central Australia. They'll be all over the place. Scary stuff.
And your feral cats are getting bigger?
Oh, I've seen some big ones. I've shot some big ones too.
They're about, what's that, nearly twice the size of a regular domestic cat now?
They're, I think...
huge buggers.
I think one... I follow a professional shooter. I think his biggest is 22 pound, whatever that is, in...
10 kilos, I think.
Yeah, 10 kilos. Australia's weird. We use imperial and metric. But yeah, the cane toad thing is just, it's horrible. I've had ones that I've run over and pulled up because I thought I'd run over a rock. You know, they're huge buggers. That's me.
Yeah.
I've had my little rant.
Well, just to close out here, when NEPy's talking about this whole entropy thing, he get the kind of the religious portion is this part, right? That they're the last paragraph. Try to learn what I'm teaching you before it's too late, as if knowing or correctly understanding the science of entropy has anything to do with his religion. He doesn't have a religion where you have to have a certain understanding of entropy for you to be able to go to heaven. The only thing that they require is that you believe in Jesus, and that's the only thing. You could be a mass murderer and you'll still get on. So Jesus isn't sitting there going, giving you a pop quiz on entropy for before he takes you to heaven.
No, and even if you call him out on that, it'll never be enough, because either he'll ignore you and pretend it never happened, or he'll just come up with some flimsy excuse as to why whatever you just said doesn't matter or is wrong, or lost in clues and blah blah blah. He has no core sense of values, other than wanting to be the big strong man in the room, and so anything that pushes against that, he either ignores or resorts to name calling.
Yeah, he ignores this calling these things atheist garbage,
Yeah.
basically science, atheist garbage. And when we call him out on that, he doesn't care.
Yeah. Because again, it's not about him being right or wrong. It's about him being dominant. He has.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a domination fetish.
Well, and he thinks he dreams in his head that he is dominating, every time he posts these things.
Well, and earlier today, when he said that now he's been stomping us for 12 years. So I called him out on it and I said, for 4 years now, you've been saying that you've been dominating this channel for over 10 years. You can't even get the math right. What is 4 plus 10? I'll give you a hint. It's not 12.
Well, could it be that he's taking a couple years out because he was in prison?
Possibly. So that is time off for good behavior. That's possible.
Yeah.
But no, his response was not that something to the effect of not that it matters, but I went back and it's been longer than 12 and it's going to be another 12.
What?
So yeah. He never makes any sense. And so I even
4
pointed out
years.
to him, yeah, I don't know. It made sense in his head, I'm sure, when he typed it. So I responded again, something to the effect of, it didn't matter, but you still took the time to come back and tell me how much it didn't matter.
Yeah. I really think I just envision him as this Walter Mitty character where in his head, he's like, winning all these like battles with atheists and he's like, laying down all the facts and showing all these atheists how wrong their science is. And like, he imagines he's like in some classroom, or he's in some debate and he's just like winning, right? Everyone is, and everyone in the audience stands up and starts clapping because of how brilliant he is.
I just don't like being included in his dominatrix fantasy without consent. It's just a bit. Who is that? Who is it? Thomas, who keeps saying he's 33, hasn't been laid, going back to uni.
Yeah.
The Thunderbolt kid.
Yeah, Thunder.
Oh yeah.
Thunderbolt. I mean, honestly, it's creepy.
I was calling him Thunder Nuts because if it's been that long.
Yeah, I call him Thunder Wank. And keep
it was funny when he kept. I think one of the posts he says, "Why do you guys keep bringing this up?"
Dude,
well, you need to stop doing it. Reminding us that you're an incel.
Yeah, just go and pay. Don't stop being a tight ass and go and pay a professional sex worker. It'll make.
And he doesn't have to post this. It has nothing to do with atheism, whether he gets laid or not.
If you're upset, dude, it's all self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, but he was also asking us, like, there's this woman at work. I'd like to ask her out. And he goes, why? What are you doing here on this on this YouTube channel, asking people that you are fundamentally opposed to, questions about your fucking love life? A, don't care. B, no, don't do that at work. Just no.
Hey, Blog.
Yeah.
John, I've been sending John Australian songs, and he doesn't know. He's never heard of John Farnham. I gave him one of Barnsley's. Yeah. You're in for a treat.
Oh, I can't wait.
You are in for a treat. There's a reason why Dion, that singer, from,
Celine Dion.
Yes, he's her idol.
Okay.
Yep. You're in for a good treat.
Love it.
All right.
He's also famously retired. How many times did he have a retirement tour? It was there were a lot. It was.
lot.
It became a bit ridiculous at the end. It's a
But
little
it's-
bit like there's the Weird Al tune. The theme from Rocky 13?
Yeah.
Um,
The fun thing is his voice still sounds the same, and he's 70 now, and he's still able. Queen, when Mercury died, the first person they called up to fill the spot was John Farnham. So it gives you an idea of how good he is. Never liked leaving Australia because he family man.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll put that in the things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, well, we will close with that, and maybe John, next week you can tell us what you thought of the.
Yeah, I'll give my
recommendation.
musical review.
Yes, perfect.
Excellent, love it.
I'll even
Okay,
put
well,
in a religious song.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining, everyone on the stage, and then everyone in the live chats. Thanks very much. Too bad we didn't have Miranda this week, but we had pretty lively chat. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week, and we'll see you in the comments.